Because the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has come up with a new set of proposals targeting petrol and diesel cars. The plans include a daily levy of £2, which could cost the average motorist £700 annually. An introduction of a daily boundary charge for those who do not live in London coming into the city, and the extension of the ultra-low emission zone to cover all of the city. Elsewhere, tube and bus fares are also rising by an average of 5% from next month. Well, joining me to discuss this is the Conservative member of the London Assembly, Tony Devenish. Tony, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Darren.
Let's start off with these plans for cars, essentially, travelling in and out and around London. Many people made the same arguments, didn't they, in the objection to this that they would have done around the congestion charge. But in the end, the congestion charge has been pretty effective, hasn't it?
Well, that's debatable, really, Darren. The reality is, though, Mr Khan keeps on coming up with charge after charge after charge for all Londoners, not just motorists. Council tax is being hiked as well. And we're not really sure, actually, he's spending the money very well, but it's just not a good idea to keep on charging people. At the end of COVID, we're coming out of COVID recovery, and we don't need hard-working families to be hit with yet more charges. Yeah,
but your government's committed, isn't it, to getting to net zero? We know carbon emissions from cars are not great in terms of reaching that target. They're also not very good for air pollution, which does kill people in London. London's following other cities like Paris, which is talking about banning cars in the centre of the city entirely. There is a movement in this direction. It's not just confined to the London Mayor Sadiq Khan. In fact, in many ways, it's keeping in key with the national government policy of trying to cut carbon emissions.
Look, I was at COP26, and of course that's right in terms of the direction of travel, but we need a debate in London. Mr Khan is very good at ramming things through with little public consultation. He did it recently in the congestion charge. He's done it on many other issues. He needs to actually take Londoners with him, and this is just another tax on hard-working Londoners.
So what would you do then to tackle not just pollution but also congestion, which does seem to be back up to similar levels that we saw before the pandemic, if not worse?
It is, and I'm Deputy Chairman of the Environment Committee at the London Assembly. I totally accept that. But the reality is you need to have policy formulated and then a public debate, not these kind of issues where it's just another tax and another tax. Mr Khan spends most of the money badly.
If that's the point, if you don't want to see another tax, then shouldn't you see some actual investment in public transport in London? Because at the moment, TfL is massively struggling because they can't reach a deal with the Conservative government.
Well, that's true, because TfL under the Mayor isn't actually negotiating, I'm afraid. Mr Khan doesn't believe in having a proper grown-up discussion with the government. The government, to be fair to them, has given him £5 billion. And, of course, COVID's been a big hit to TfL, but so has Mr Khan's mismanagement over the last nearly 6 years. He's been Mayor, remember, 6 years in May. He's been a pretty appalling Mayor. Even Labour people will tell you that privately. Name something he's achieved on any policy, Darren. Not a lot.
I'll let all viewers do that instead. Tony, thank you very much indeed. Tony Devenish,
thank you.
Conservative London Assembly member joining us in the studio. If you were in